Today's project is around a 2001 Snapper Series 18. I'm going to change the oil in this unit, get the blade sharpened up on it, get it ready for the season. I promise this isn't an all snapper channel, even though it may seem that way. Just the time of year it is, that's what we're working on. This is my mother's machine. It's another 15 horse Kohler, very similar to the one I just did the drive boots on, but this one's a few years older. I think this one's from around 2001, if I remember correctly. But we're going to get it in the garage and get to working on it. Let's see if she'll start. This thing hasn't been started all winter. Still got some juice in the battery. Not enough. Alright. We'll have to use the pull starter. This is one thing I really do like about the snappers. They have the backup recoil. So, just give her a few yanks. Almost. Hard to do one-handed. Chokes on, keys on, it's in neutral. I checked the gas and oil previously. There we go. A little bit of smoke. It ain't been raining all winter. So we'll let this thing warm up and I'll show you how to change the oil in it. Alright, back on the Series 18 Snapper. First, we're going to make sure we can get this oil filter broke loose, which will turn the other way. Use your little oil filter wrench here and get on it. I'm going the wrong way. It's this way. Lefty loosey. Folks, remember that. So just get it broke loose. Be sure it'll come loose. Don't take it loose yet. Drain your oil out. I'll show you how to do that right here. See, this thing has a quick release valve on it. You can see the little pin right here and that little groove. Notice I've already got my hose hooked up. It's already in my jug. So you take this, push in on it, turn it until this little groove lines up, then you pull it out. Be careful, you can pull it all the way out and you'll have a big mess on the floor. But if you do it right, you won't have a mess at all. Now we'll let that drain. While this is draining, I'm going to pull my air filter and clean it. Just take this nut off, get an idea of where I'm at on the engine. Take this nut off, loosen this up. Pull this cover off, and there you have your pre-filter and air filter. And take your nut off here. Set it to the side where you won't lose it. Then you can pull this apart. See, now I have my air filter free. Now what I like to do with these air filters is pull off this green pre-filter here. Go ahead and pull it off. And you have the main air filter here. As you can see, this one's pretty clean. I believe I replaced it season before last. If you keep that pre-filter clean, you won't have to replace these very often. They're kind of expensive. I think these are about 10 or 12 bucks for this little sucker. But what you can do is hold them up in the light in the sun. If you see light through them, they're probably still good. I'm just going to take this one, give it a quick beat and knock the coarse dust out of it. It doesn't appear that much come out of it. Now this pre-filter right here, what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to take it in the house, put some dish soap on it, work it and scrub it really well with some dish soap and water, hot water. Then take this, once you get the dish soap, rinse it out, maybe do it again, get it as clean as you can get it. Then wrap it up in a paper towel, mush all the water out of it you can. Then you'll take some oil and put on here, enough to soak it, and rinse, just like before, work it all the way through, and take you some paper towels to get it as dry as possible before you put it back together. and that'll do it for the pre-filter. So we've still got oil drain in here. I'll go ahead and pull this oil filter here, since it's still a little bit tight. Get the wrench back on it. But you always want to make sure you can break these loose, because once you drain the oil, you can't restart the vehicle. I know it's not such a big deal on a lawnmower, but still it's good practice. And these things will leak oil. They always do. Let me grab a rag out of the rag bag here. These things, that's why you want to try to drain these first, but they do always seem to want to leak oil for some reason when you pull these filters off these things. There's the old filter off. That's a Napa. If you happen to have a Kohler engine, that Napa part number will probably work on it. If you go on, there's a website called Oil Filter Cross Reference that will let you know what all oil filters will transfer. See, the new one's going to be a Motorcraft. Here's the new oil filter. But I'm going to take some oil and put it on this gasket here, put a little bit on these threads, and clean that mess out of there. Then we'll slap it back together. Okay, I've got the oil drained out of this unit and I'm ready to start putting it back together. So we'll start by reinstalling the air cleaner. As you can see, I've cleaned the pre-filter as I described with the dish soap and re-oiled it. So I've got that back on. I also wiped off underneath of here because that little plate right there will get dirty up against it. So I wiped that out, put my pre-cleaner back on. So I'm going for my nut here. My wing nut, if you want to be technical about it. Don't take too much torque on this unit. If you torque it too much, it'll hurt your air filter. It'll make it go flat. So just enough there, just snug is all you need here. That's plenty. Put my cover back on here. You just kind of have to do it by feel because you can't see when it's lined up. But it's going now. And again, just snug is all you need here. Once it gets there. Threads are kind of long. There we go. So air filter's ready to go back. Okay, now our oil is finished draining. So before you unplug this hose, you want to be sure to push this piece back in and make sure you get it in this little notch. Because if you don't, you'll have a bad day. Your brand new oil will go in your drain jug. And see that? It's back in the closed notch. So now I can pull this off. My used oil in this jug, almost 1.5 quarts come out of it, but of course that don't count what was in the filter. Probably about 1/2 quart in the filter. This lawnmower takes right at 2 quarts. So now I'm going to put my new oil filter on. As you can, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I already took a little bit of the new oil, put around that big black seal there, put some on the threads down in there. And I've cleaned this mess out, most of it. Make sure your mating surface here is clean before you put it back together. And you just take your new oil filter. Here's another part number that fits a Kohler if you happen to be working on the same unit. It's what Ford Motorcraft filter. It's what Walmart happened to have. Now once that gasket hits down there, once it connects, you want to go 1/2 turn to 3/4 turn. So now I'm going, and I got about 1/2 turn by hand. So I'll take my oil filter wrench, give it another 1/4 turn, and it's good to go. All I've got to do now is fill my oil back up. My new oil's sitting over there, and she's ready to go. When I get done with that, I'll flip it up and I'll show you how to take your blade off and sharpen it. If you were to go to a lawnmower shop and have this done, they'd probably charge you 75 bucks, I'd guess. And it's taken me, I'll have less than an hour in this whole job if I wasn't taping it. It's not a hard job at all. I don't get people pay so much for such a simple job. But anyways, I'll top the oil off and we'll get back to it. Of course, I hope y'all know how to use a dipstick. I'll go ahead and show you here. You want to run your oil up. You've got add and full here. If I can get it to focus. Focus, son. Yeah, it ain't going to focus on it. And you can kind of see the lines there. But you know, fill it up with oil, then start it to fill up your oil filter. Then you'll want to start it up again after you get it full and check it again. I absolutely hate lawnmowers with dipsticks. I'd much rather have the old style where you just fill it up to the top. It's a hell of a lot quicker. But anyways, we'll get that done and I'll be back. And I promise this isn't a purely snapper channel. It's my Mitsubishi Eclipse there. It's a 92 turbo. Hopefully we can make some videos about it at some point. Right here's probably going to be my next one. Since the winter's over and getting into spring and summer here, I'll have to drain the gas out of this. But I'll be back once I get the oil topped off, and I'll show you how to take the blade off and sharpen it. Back to the snapper. I've topped off the oil, started it, let it build up oil pressure, fill up the filter, then recheck the level and add it as necessary. So I'm ready to start on the blade. As you can see, I've already got it up on its back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the grease fittings too. I'll show you where they're at while I'm at this. Some of these snappers have a grease fitting. It's kind of hard to get to. It's back in here behind here for your gear shifter. As you can see where I'm at on the gear shifter here. This one doesn't have one. Now what I like to do is take a little bit of axle grease and put on this rod right here. See where it's wore some? Save this from wearing out. So I'll do that here in a minute. Just take a little bit of axle grease and smear in here. Not a whole lot. You don't want a big mess. I'll have to get my grease gun out. Now hit the grease fittings on this mower. As I said, it don't have one for the shifter. I've got one on each wheel. Here. And here. This lawnmower, surprisingly, has one on the deck spindle. Let me get it to focus on it and show it to you. You can see it right there. It's dirty, but right there you got a grease fitting here. Most of the newer ones don't have this. So this lawnmower is quite a bit different from the 23 I was working on. Also notice this one does not have a grease fitting here either. The Series 23 does. But these boots appear to be in good shape. So I'll get the grease gun and hit them fittings. And I'll show you how to pull your blade here. You will need a 3/4 inch wrench. It's a cheap wrench. The numbers ain't real prominent on it. You can kind of see it there. It's a 3/4. When you get back in here, you've got 2 sets of bolts. This set of bolt here, you can use to level your deck. There's one over here and one here. These are the bolts we want, the 2 towards the center, here and here. This will remove your deck. You remove your blade from your deck. So you have to get a wrench on the back of it. It'll be a pain to work on because of the dirt from the grass and stuff, but then you'll take a 3/4 inch ratchet or another wrench on this front bolt here, pull it off. The same thing on the other side, here and here, right here. And your blade will come right off, then you can sharpen it. As you can see, this blade, I sharpen them every year generally. This one's not in too bad a shape. It's a little bit beat up. But that should do it. I'll take the blade off and sharpen it, and we'll put it back on. It goes back on the same way it came off. I hope you enjoyed my video. Hope you learned something. Hope you saved some money. As I said, you're looking at $50 to $75 from the lawnmower shop. Hope you learned something. Hope we saved you some money, and more to come later. Maybe I can do something that isn't a snapper video next time. Thanks for watching. Okay folks, I'm back. I decided to tack a little bit more on at the end of this video. I realize there's probably some people watching this that probably never sharpened a blade to a lawnmower. So I'm going to give you a quick and dirty show on how to do that. As you can see, I have my lawnmower blade mounted in a vise to hold it steady. I've got my angle grinder out here. By the way, a Quantum Pro, I like this angle grinder. It's been a good one. But what I'm going to do, I always want your safety glasses. Safety third. But I'm going to take my grinder and hold it at an angle. See if I can, I know I can't sharpen it one-handed, but maybe I can show you and you get an idea. But try to match the angle that's already there on that blade and just smooth this up through here. Probably take 2 or 3 passes because this blade isn't in bad shape at all. Then once I get this smoothed up, I'll go around to the back side here at a really sharp angle, similar to this as you can see, and just make a pass or 2 here until I get an edge. This lawnmower blade don't have to be super sharp, but I'll go ahead and sharpen it. We'll show you what it looks like. Okay, now I've sharpened my blade here. As you can see, I've taken a path on the outside. Right here's my edge, what you can see of it. And I've also made a couple of paths through here, if it'll focus. And clean that up. It's not real sharp. I mean, it ain't gonna cut you if you just barely touch it. It don't have to be real sharp. The speed is mainly what does it. But that edge is good and clean. I went ahead and did that one and flipped it over. Now it's ready to go back on the lawnmower. It goes back on the same way it come off. And just hang it back on here. Get the center nut through. Line your bolt holes up. Now remember your nut, I can't do this one-handed, but I'll show you here. These are the bolts I took out earlier. The nut goes in the back, so it goes through like that. Let me see if I can. Here we go. So, take your bolt, put it through like that. Your nut goes on the back there. See if I can get that in view. Yep. Your nut goes on back there. Same thing for the other end. Tighten it up, and she's ready to go for another season. Thanks for watching. More to come later. I don't know why my video looks foggy all of a sudden. Thanks for watching. More to come later, and it won't be a snap.